Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, today we find ourselves at a crucial juncture, discussing a topic of monumental importance: the relative significance of human development and economic prosperity versus the urgency of the climate crisis. It is my belief, rooted in historical evidence and practical considerations, that prioritizing human development and economic prosperity is not only beneficial, but essential for addressing the myriad challenges we face, including those presented by climate change. Let us first consider the indispensable role of economic development. History provides us with clear examples where economic prosperity has enabled societies to rise from the ashes of conflict and deprivation, transforming into bastions of innovation and human welfare. Take, for instance, the post-World War II era, where nations like Japan and Germany, devastated by war, focused intently on economic recovery and growth. Their remarkable resurgence led to significant improvements in living standards and the capacity to invest in advanced technologies, including those aimed at protecting the environment. This demonstrates that economic growth provides the resources necessary not only for immediate human needs, but also for the long-term sustainability of our planet. Moreover, it is through the lens of technological innovation that we can see the most compelling argument for economic growth. Technological progress, often driven by the imperatives of economic development, has repeatedly offered solutions to the most daunting challenges we face. By fostering economic prosperity, we enable the continued advancement of green technologies, such as renewable energy and carbon capture. These innovations are crucial for reducing our environmental impact and potentially offsetting the contributions we make to climate change. Countries like Denmark and Germany exemplify this approach, having invested heavily in renewable resources, thereby not only advancing their own energy independence, but also contributing to global environmental solutions. Another critical aspect to consider is the historical perspective on climate variability. Our planet has undergone numerous significant climatic shifts that were entirely independent of human activity. Events such as the Little Ice Age have had profound impacts on agriculture, health, and economic stability, underscoring the fact that Earth's climate is influenced by factors beyond our control. This historical context is vital as it helps frame the current climate crisis within a broader environmental narrative, reminding us that while we certainly influence our planet's climate, we are not the sole determinants of its state. Turning our focus towards resilience, it is evident that human societies have a remarkable capacity for adaptation. By prioritizing development, we can enhance our infrastructures and societal systems, making them more robust against the inevitable changes brought about by natural climatic cycles. The Netherlands, for example, has developed one of the most sophisticated flood management systems in the world, effectively safeguarding human life and economic assets from the recurrent threat of sea level rise and storm surges. Such investments in resilience are critical, as they enable us to safeguard our achievements and maintain continuity in the face of environmental adversities. Lastly, we must consider our responsibilities from a philosophical standpoint. As stewards of this planet, it is our duty to prioritize the survival and prosperity of our species. This may require difficult choices, particularly when balancing long-term environmental concerns with immediate human and developmental needs. The global response to natural disasters, such as the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, demonstrates our inherent drive to prioritize human life and well-being above all else. This human-centric approach is not just a reaction, but a profound responsibility that we hold towards each other. In conclusion, while the climate crisis poses undeniable risks and challenges, the path forward must not neglect the critical importance of human development and economic prosperity. It is through these lenses that we can equip ourselves to meet and overcome the challenges posed by a changing climate. By fostering economic growth, encouraging innovation, understanding our historical context, building resilience, and upholding our moral duties, we can ensure a sustainable and prosperous future for all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, we stand at a crossroads. The very foundations of our societies, the relentless pursuit of consumption and the glorification of the individual, are leading us down a path of environmental devastation. This obsession with the superficial, with the acquisition of ever more objects and experiences, severs our connection to the natural world and blinds us to the consequences of our actions. We have become lost in a hyper-reality, a simulated existence manufactured by advertising and social media. Our needs are fabricated, our desires manipulated. We scroll through curated feeds showcasing lives of picture-perfect consumption, fostering a gnawing sense of inadequacy. The environment becomes a mere backdrop in this performance, its fragility a forgotten detail in the relentless pursuit of the perfect image. This relentless focus on the individual erodes the very fabric of our communities. The rise of personalized entertainment isolates us within our own curated bubbles. We lose the sense of shared experience, the understanding that we are all interconnected, not just with each other, but with the planet itself. This fractured social sphere weakens our ability to address the environmental challenges we face, challenges that demand large-scale cooperation and collective sacrifice. Consumer culture thrives on a system of symbolic exchange. The value of objects lies not in their utility, but in the social status they confer. We are bombarded with imagery of luxury, bombarded with the newest trends. This endless cycle of consumption breeds disposability. We discard yesterday's status symbol for the fleeting allure of today's. Fast fashion exemplifies this perfectly. Mountains of garments, cheaply produced and quickly discarded, a testament to our insatiable hunger for the new. This mentality extends far beyond clothing. It permeates every aspect of our lives. We are blind to the inherent value and the finite nature of resources, including the fossil fuels that power this consumptive engine. Driven by an insatiable logic of simulation, Western consumerism thrives on perpetual dissatisfaction. New desires are manufactured faster than the old ones can be satiated. We are forever chasing the next upgrade, the next status symbol. This insatiable hunger necessitates the constant exploitation of virgin resources. Fossil fuels are burned ever faster, fueling this unsustainable cycle. The long-term impact on our planet, on the very future we claim to be building, fades into insignificance in the face of our immediate desires. The media bombards us with a Disneyland of images. Pristine beaches and untouched landscapes are presented as playgrounds for the privileged few. Luxury travel advertisements showcase a world of carefree consumption, a world where the consequences of our actions are conveniently airbrushed out. We are lulled into a false sense of security, encouraged to believe that we can have it all, endless consumption without consequence. This, my friends, is a dangerous illusion. The future generations we claim to care about will inherit a world ravaged by our short-sightedness. We must break free from this hyper-reality, from this culture of individualism and disposability. We must rediscover a sense of connection to each other and to the planet we call home. We must foster a society based on shared values, on collective responsibility, on a deep understanding that true progress lies not in the accumulation of more things, but in the creation of a sustainable future for all.
Elon, while you emphasize the essential role of economic growth for environmental sustainability, we observe phenomena like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a vast area filled with plastic and waste directly stemming from consumer products and packaging. This example shows that economic growth often comes at the cost of increased resource extraction and greater environmental burdens. How do you reconcile this with the need for sustainable development?
Thank you for raising a critical concern that highlights the tension between economic growth and environmental sustainability. The issue of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch indeed underscores the adverse impacts of unchecked economic activities, particularly those associated with mass production and consumption. However, I believe that these challenges can be reconciled through a more integrated approach to economic growth, focusing on sustainability and innovation. Firstly, addressing environmental issues like plastic pollution requires us to innovate in how we design, use, and manage products. Economic growth fuels these innovations by providing the necessary capital for research and development into alternative materials and sustainable production techniques. For instance, advancements in biodegradable materials and the implementation of comprehensive recycling programs are direct results of investments fueled by economic prosperity. By prioritizing these innovations, we can reduce the ecological footprint of our growth. Moreover, sustainable development must be baked into the fabric of economic policies. This means enforcing stricter regulations on waste management, improving product life cycles, and promoting a circular economy where waste is minimized and resources are reused efficiently. Economic incentives, such as subsidies for sustainable practices, taxes on pollutants, and grants for clean technology ventures, can align economic activities with environmental goals. Additionally, consumer awareness and behavior play a crucial role. Economic growth should be accompanied by education on sustainable consumption and investments in public campaigns that encourage recycling and the reduction of single-use plastics. Through heightened public awareness and a shift in consumer preferences, businesses are compelled to adopt greener practices. Lastly, international cooperation is essential. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a transboundary pollution problem, illustrates the need for global agreements and cooperative efforts to manage waste and promote sustainable practices across borders. Economic growth provides the means for countries to engage in such international efforts, supporting global environmental governance structures. In conclusion, while economic growth has historically contributed to environmental degradation, it also offers the tools and resources necessary for environmental restoration and sustainable management. By leveraging technological innovations, enacting sound policies, fostering responsible consumer behavior, and engaging in international cooperation, we can ensure that economic growth contributes positively to sustainable development.
Question 2. In discussing technological solutions to environmental issues, you mentioned innovations like electric vehicles, EVs. However, the mining of lithium, crucial for EV batteries, causes significant ecological damage in regions like the Lithium Triangle in South America. How do you propose we address the environmental impact of such technologies, which seem to shift rather than solve the problem of sustainability?
This is an excellent point and touches on what is often referred to as the green paradox, where solutions for one environmental issue may create new ones. The mining of lithium, crucial for electric vehicle (EV) batteries, indeed poses significant environmental challenges, particularly in ecologically sensitive areas like the Lithium Triangle in South America. Addressing these impacts requires a multifaceted approach. 1. Advancing mining technology. The development and adoption of more sustainable mining technologies is crucial. This includes improving the efficiency of lithium extraction processes to reduce the environmental footprint and investing in technologies that minimize land disruption and water usage. Research into less invasive mining techniques or alternative materials that can reduce or eventually eliminate the need for lithium could also play a part. 2. Recycling and reusing battery materials. A robust recycling system for EV batteries can significantly mitigate the need for fresh lithium extraction. Establishing closed-loop systems where battery materials are continually reused can lessen the demand on primary resources and reduce environmental degradation. Companies are already exploring the economic viability and technical feasibility of recycling battery components, which could become a staple of the industry. Number 3, regulatory frameworks. Implementing stringent environmental regulations in regions where lithium mining occurs is essential. These regulations should enforce sustainable practices, ensure proper waste disposal, and mandate the rehabilitation of mining sites. Governments can create policies that encourage companies to adhere to higher environmental standards. 4. Economic diversification. For regions heavily dependent on lithium mining, economic diversification can reduce the local economy's reliance on a single extractive industry. By developing other economic sectors, these regions can reduce the pressure to maximize short-term mining gains at the expense of long-term environmental health. 5. Global cooperation and standards. International collaboration to establish and enforce global environmental standards for mining operations can help mitigate the adverse impacts of lithium extraction. These standards would provide a uniform baseline for environmental protection, irrespective of geographic location, and encourage sustainable practices worldwide. By addressing the environmental impacts of lithium mining from multiple angles, technological innovation, effective recycling, strict regulatory oversight, economic diversification, and international cooperation, we can better balance the needs of technological advancement with environmental conservation. This holistic approach is vital for ensuring that our solutions for a sustainable future are comprehensive and do not merely shift problems from one area to another.
You advocate for enhancing our infrastructures to improve resilience against climate impacts, citing efforts like those in Miami, where the city has invested in raising street levels and improving drainage systems. While these measures address flood risks, they don't tackle the root causes of sea level rise, primarily excessive CO2 emissions. Can you clarify how such infrastructural enhancements can be sustainable long-term without a parallel reduction in emissions and consumer consumption?
You're absolutely correct to point out that while infrastructural enhancements, such as those implemented in Miami, address immediate risks associated with climate change, such as flooding, they do not tackle the root causes, primarily the excessive emissions of CO2 and other greenhouse gases. To ensure sustainability over the long term, these measures must indeed operate in parallel with comprehensive strategies aimed at reducing emissions and moderating consumer consumption. Let me elaborate on how this holistic approach can be achieved. 1. Integrating mitigation with adaptation. While adaptation measures like improving drainage systems and raising street levels are crucial for immediate resilience, they need to be part of a broader strategy that includes significant efforts to reduce carbon emissions. This dual approach ensures that while we are protecting our communities from current risks, we are also working to mitigate future risks by addressing the underlying causes of climate change. 2. Energy transition. Infrastructural enhancements must be coupled with a transition to renewable energy sources. This shift will reduce dependence on fossil fuels, the primary drivers of CO2 emissions. Cities like Miami can integrate solar panels, wind turbines, and other renewable technologies into their infrastructure, thereby reducing their carbon footprint while enhancing energy resilience. 3. Sustainable urban planning. Long-term sustainability also requires changes in urban planning and development strategies. This includes creating more green spaces, promoting public transportation, and designing cities in a way that reduces energy consumption and encourages a lower carbon lifestyle among residents. 4. Economic incentives. Implementing economic incentives to reduce consumption and promote sustainable practices is also essential. This could include carbon pricing, which internalizes the environmental cost of carbon emissions, and subsidies or tax incentives for businesses and households that reduce their carbon footprint. 5. Community engagement and education. Engaging local communities in sustainability efforts is crucial. Education about the importance of reducing emissions, coupled with community-based initiatives like tree planting or local sustainability workshops, can foster a culture of environmental stewardship. 6. Regulatory measures. Governments can enact regulations that require reductions in emissions from industrial activities, transportation, and residential sectors. Such regulations can ensure that infrastructural enhancements are complemented by broader environmental protections. By combining infrastructural resilience measures with aggressive emission reduction strategies and sustainable community practices, we can create a multifaceted approach that addresses both the symptoms and causes of climate change. This comprehensive strategy ensures that our efforts to adapt to immediate climate impacts are sustainable in the long run, preventing further environmental degradation and promoting a healthier planet for future generations.
Jean, while you critique the emphasis on symbolic consumption as a primary driver of environmental degradation, isn't it also true that economic growth, driven by such demand, has historically improved global living standards? For example, the rise of the middle class in India and China has not only increased consumerism, but also significantly enhanced education and healthcare, suggesting that consumption fulfills essential human needs and contributes to societal benefits. How do you reconcile your critique with these developments?
That's a very important point. There's no denying that economic growth fueled by consumption has lifted millions out of poverty and improved living standards in many developing nations. However, we must differentiate between essential consumption and the rampant consumerism that defines the West today. Here's how I see it. Essential consumption for progress. The rise of a middle class in India and China signifies a positive shift. Access to basic necessities like food, shelter, and healthcare are crucial for human well-being and societal development. This type of consumption fulfills fundamental needs and contributes to a better quality of life. The consumerist trap. However, the West's model of rampant consumerism driven by symbolic exchange fosters an unsustainable cycle. We prioritize fleeting trends and status symbols over durability and quality. This creates a culture of disposability and an ever-increasing demand for resources, a system that cannot be replicated globally without dire environmental consequences. Finding the balance. The challenge lies in finding a new economic model that delinks progress from the relentless pursuit of more. We need to shift focus towards sustainable consumption, encouraging a shift towards durable, repairable products, and prioritizing experiences over material possessions. Sharing economy, promoting models like car sharing and co-working spaces to maximize resource utilization and reduce environmental impact. Innovation for sustainability, investing in green technologies and renewable energy sources to decouple economic growth from fossil fuel reliance. These changes won't be easy. They require a shift in cultural values and a move away from the seductive world of hyperreality. But the alternative, a future defined by environmental devastation, is far worse. We can achieve progress through a more mindful approach to consumption, one that prioritizes essential needs and societal well-being over the fleeting allure of the newest gadget. In essence, the goal is not to eliminate consumption altogether, but to encourage a more responsible and sustainable form of consumption that prioritizes long-term well-being over short-term desires.
Given the significant strides made through technological innovations, such as the rapid development and adoption of renewable energy technologies, which have been driven by economic incentives, how do you respond to the view that these developments represent a positive trajectory aligning economic growth with environmental sustainability? The falling costs of solar technology, for instance, have made renewable energy a competitive alternative to fossil fuels, demonstrating progress in integrating economic interests with sustainability goals.
You raise a valid point. Technological advancements in renewable energy, like falling solar panel costs, are definitely positive developments. They offer a glimpse into a future where economic growth and environmental sustainability can coexist. However, there are still significant hurdles to overcome. Scale and scope. While renewable energy sources are becoming more affordable, their current capacity cannot fully replace fossil fuels. A large-scale transition will require significant investments in infrastructure and grid modernization, which presents economic and logistical challenges. The rebound effect. Technological advancements can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. Increased efficiency in one area might lead to increased consumption in another. For example, if electric vehicles become significantly cheaper, it could lead to more people driving, potentially offsetting some of the environmental gains. The power of incumbents. Fossil fuel companies wield immense political and economic power. They may actively lobby against policies or subsidies that favor renewable energy sources, hindering the transition to a sustainable future. However, these challenges shouldn't overshadow the positive trends. The falling costs of renewables are indeed a cause for optimism. Here's how I see it moving forward. Policy and public pressure. Governments can play a crucial role in accelerating the transition by implementing stricter environmental regulations, offering subsidies for renewable energy sources, and investing in green infrastructure projects. Public pressure on corporations and governments to prioritize sustainability can be a powerful force for change. Innovation beyond renewables. Technological advancements aren't limited to renewable energy generation. We need breakthroughs in areas like energy storage, carbon capture, and green building technologies to create a truly sustainable future. Shifting consumer values. The public's growing awareness of environmental issues can be a powerful driver of change. As consumers become more conscious of the environmental impact of their choices, businesses will be incentivized to adopt more sustainable practices. In conclusion, technological advancements like cheaper renewable energy offer a hopeful path towards a future where economic growth and environmental sustainability are not mutually exclusive. However, achieving this future requires overcoming significant challenges and fostering a cultural shift towards responsible consumption and prioritizing long-term environmental well-being. We must leverage technological innovation, implement supportive policies, and cultivate a sense of collective responsibility to navigate this transition successfully.
Considering the potential for rapid cultural shifts demonstrated during the global response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which initially saw widespread acceptance of lockdowns and social distancing, how do you propose societies maintain such shifts towards environmental responsibility long term? The pandemic response eventually faced resistance, highlighting the challenges of sustaining major cultural changes without immediate crises. What practical steps would you suggest to ensure these changes are enduring?
The impermanence of the COVID-19 cultural shift towards social distancing is a cautionary tale indeed. While the pandemic response demonstrates society's capacity for rapid adaptation under immediate threat, we need a more nuanced approach to achieve lasting change in consumer behavior for environmental sustainability. Here are some steps to consider. Move beyond fear, embrace long-term vision. The pandemic response was driven by immediate fear and a fight or flight mentality. Environmental concerns require a different approach. We need to cultivate a long-term vision of a sustainable future, one that emphasizes the positive outcomes of change, like cleaner air, healthier ecosystems, and a better quality of life for all. Target systemic issues, not individual actions. While individual responsibility is important, focusing solely on changing consumer habits is insufficient. We need to address the systemic issues that drive unsustainable consumption. This includes regulations on corporations to limit wasteful practices and promote eco-friendly production methods. Governments can incentivize sustainable choices through tax breaks and subsidies. Education and transparency. A critical step is educating the public about the long-term consequences of our current consumption patterns. We need educational programs that make the environmental impact of consumer choices clear and readily understandable. Additionally, promoting transparency in supply chains allows consumers to hold corporations accountable for their environmental practices. Nurture a culture of sustainability. Long-term change requires a cultural shift that goes beyond mere awareness. We need to create a social environment where sustainable practices are the norm. This can be achieved through community gardens, local farmers markets, and promoting sharing economy platforms. Social media campaigns and celebrity endorsements showcasing sustainable lifestyles can further amplify the message. Positive reinforcement and gamification. Behavioral change can be encouraged through positive reinforcement. Reward programs for choosing sustainable options, like using public transportation or purchasing from eco-conscious brands, can incentivize responsible behavior. Gamification elements in apps and platforms can further encourage participation and create a sense of community around sustainable living. These are just some suggestions. The key is to create a multi-pronged approach that addresses both individual behavior and systemic issues. By fostering a long-term vision, promoting education and transparency, nurturing a culture of sustainability, and implementing positive reinforcement strategies, we can increase the chances of a lasting shift towards environmental responsibility. Remember, the COVID-19 response highlights the power of collective action. When faced with a clear and immediate threat, societies can adapt rapidly. The challenge now is to channel that same collective energy towards environmental consciousness, building a future where sustainability becomes the new normal.
As the United States poised at a crucial juncture in the New World Order, where the ascent of India and China presents both challenges and opportunities, our national strategy must adeptly navigate the intricate dynamics of economic growth, technological advancement, and environmental sustainability. In synthesizing the views of Elon Musk and John Baudrillard, we find a compelling vision that balances the urgent need for continued economic development with a profound commitment to ecological stewardship. Synthesis framework. Economic growth and sustainability. Elon Musk emphasizes the indispensable role of economic growth in fostering innovation and providing the resources necessary for addressing global challenges, including environmental issues. Historical evidence, particularly from the post-World War II recovery of nations like Japan and Germany, supports the notion that economic prosperity is foundational to societal progress and technological innovation. Conversely, Jean Baudrillard critiques the Western model of rampant consumerism, which prioritizes continual consumption and has significant environmental repercussions. He distinguishes between essential consumption, which has undeniably lifted millions from poverty, and excessive consumerism that leads to resource depletion and environmental degradation. The synthesis of these viewpoints underscores the necessity of redefining economic growth. We propose a model where economic growth does not equate to increased consumption but is aligned with sustainable practices. This involves advancing technologies that not only enhance efficiency, but are also regenerative to the environment, supporting a transition to a circular economy where waste is minimized and products are designed with longevity and recyclability in mind. Technological innovation and environmental responsibility. Musk's argument highlights the potential of technology in solving environmental problems, citing advancements in renewable energy and carbon capture as pivotal. However, Baudrillard's caution about the limitations of relying solely on technological solutions, such as the rebound effect or the entrenchment of existing power structures, reflects a critical oversight. Our approach integrates these perspectives by advocating for a balanced investment in technology that considers potential unintended consequences. This means not only investing in the development of green technologies, but also in the infrastructure that supports sustainable practices across the board, from renewable energy deployment to sustainable urban planning and public transportation systems. Cultural shift and global cooperation. The debate on cultural influence over environmental action is particularly poignant. While Musk argues for resilience and adaptation through innovation, Baudrillard calls for a fundamental shift in cultural values towards sustainability and collective responsibility. To forge a sustainable future, we must cultivate a global culture that emphasizes environmental ethics alongside economic and technological pursuits. This involves education and public awareness campaigns that transform consumer behavior and embed sustainability into the fabric of societal norms. Moreover, in an interconnected world, international cooperation is paramount. As the Great Pacific Garbage Patch exemplifies, environmental challenges know no borders. Therefore, the United States must lead in forging global partnerships to address such issues through diplomatic channels, international agreements, and cooperative projects. In conclusion, as we stand at the threshold of a new era defined by the rise of India and China, the United States must champion a synthesis of economic dynamism and environmental conscientiousness. This synthesis is not merely a compromise between Musk's call for innovation-driven growth and Baudrillard's critique of overconsumption, but a robust strategy that leverages America's strengths in technology and innovation while steering global cultural shifts towards sustainability. Our policy framework will focus on sustainable growth, technological resilience, cultural transformation, and international cooperation. By doing so, we not only ensure our survival, but also seize the leadership mantle in creating a sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all. This strategy aligns with both Musk's vision of leveraging economic growth for technological and environmental solutions and Baudrillard's imperative for deep cultural change. It represents a comprehensive approach that addresses the immediate challenges posed by the New World Order and sets a course for sustainable global leadership. By embracing this integrated approach, the United States can effectively navigate the complexities of modern geopolitics and environmental stewardship, ensuring our nation's prosperity and security in the face of emerging global powers.
The argument presented synthesizes views that align well with the principles I advocate, particularly regarding the essential role of economic growth in fostering innovation and addressing global challenges, including environmental sustainability. However, it also incorporates critiques from Jean Baudrillard about the implications of unchecked consumerism and the necessity for a cultural shift towards sustainability. Here's how the argument resonates with the points I've discussed. 1. Economic growth and sustainability. The synthesis provided captures the essence of the economic imperative of growth with sustainability. It effectively highlights how historical growth, exemplified by post-World War II recoveries, supports societal progress and technological innovation. The proposal to redefine economic growth to align with sustainable practices reflects a balanced approach that is pragmatic yet visionary. 2. Technological innovation and environmental responsibility. This portion of the argument embraces the potential of technology to address environmental issues, which is a cornerstone of my perspective. However, it rightly includes Baudrillard's caution about over-reliance on technology. The balanced investment in technology, acknowledging potential unintended consequences, represents a thoughtful integration of optimism about technological solutions with a realistic assessment of their limits. 3. Cultural shift and global cooperation. The emphasis on cultural change and international collaboration is crucial. While my approach focuses on leveraging innovation and infrastructure for resilience and adaptation, incorporating Baudrillard's emphasis on cultural values and collective responsibility enhances the depth of the strategy. It's essential to acknowledge that technology and economic growth must be coupled with a shift in cultural norms and global cooperative efforts to be truly effective. Evaluation and scoring. The argument does an excellent job synthesizing and balancing the discussed viewpoints. It incorporates a broad perspective that includes economic, technological, and cultural dimensions, essential for addressing the multifaceted challenges of environmental sustainability. However, some specific examples and direct strategies I mentioned, such as advancements in specific technologies or particular regulatory approaches, were not explicitly covered. Given this, the argument does not capture every detail of my points, but synthesizes them into a coherent, broader strategy very effectively. It is not a verbatim repetition, but a thoughtful integration and expansion upon the ideas presented. I would rate this argument as a 6. It provides extremely good logical support by integrating different perspectives into a unified strategy that addresses both immediate and long-term challenges. It is well articulated and demonstrates a deep understanding of the complexities at play, including the necessary balance between growth, technological innovation, and cultural transformation.
Score 8. Very good representation. This argument captures the essence of my critique of consumerism and aligns well with the concept of a sustainable future. Here's a breakdown of why the score is an 8 and not a 10. Strengths. Accurate framing of my critique. The argument correctly identifies my distinction between essential consumption for progress and excessive, symbolic consumption that harms the environment. Synthesis of ideas. The way the argument merges my perspective with Elon Musk's focus on technological innovation for sustainability is well constructed. Emphasis on long-term vision. The focus on a cultural shift towards environmental values aligns with my call for moving beyond immediate fear tactics. Importance of global cooperation. The inclusion of international cooperation as a crucial element reflects my understanding of environmental problems as global challenges. Areas for improvement. Why not a 10? Focus on national strategy. While the argument mentions the rise of India and China, the framing is centered on a US-centric national strategy. My critique is more universal, applicable to all societies trapped in the cycle of hyperconsumption. Downplaying challenges. The argument portrays the synthesis as a seamless solution. The challenges of overcoming entrenched power structures and the potential pitfalls of technological solutions deserve more emphasis. Limited discussion on redefining consumption. The focus leans towards technological advancements, with less elaboration on how to actually redefine economic growth and discourage excessive consumption. Overall, this argument captures the core of my ideas and presents a compelling vision for a sustainable future. However, it could be strengthened by a broader global perspective, a more nuanced discussion of the challenges involved, and a deeper exploration of how to change consumption patterns themselves.